A woman polishes the same champagne glass twice, floodlights already on, hours before anyone important arrives. This is a Formula One team, the paddock behind every driver you know, built by thousands you don't. Somewhere in that garage, a rule protects a mechanic from working himself to exhaustion. No such rule protects the man who owns the team. The lower you rank here, the safer the system makes you. The higher you climb, the less anyone protects you at all. By the end, you'll understand why. Level 1. The Hospitality and Logistics Crew. You polish the same glass twice. Not because it's dirty, because your hands need something to do while you wait. The floodlights are already on. Nobody important has arrived yet. Your shift started at 6 this morning, unpacking crates of glassware flown in from 3 time zones away. It will end sometime after midnight, once the last guest has gone and the tables are broken back down into cases. Tomorrow, you do it again. Different country, same clock, same expression. By the time the first driver walks past you tonight, you will have set 11 tables, ironed 40 napkins, and rehearsed exactly where each VIP sits. 3 times. You are paid by the hour. According to industry pay trackers, contractors in roles like yours earn somewhere between $30 and $35 an hour for touring the most watched motorsport on the planet. That number does not change whether the team wins tonight or finishes last. You travel to every race. Different city, same folding tables and the same instruction. Murmured by a manager who never looks up from his clipboard. Smile, refill, disappear. According to one industry estimate, more than 9,000 people work across the 10 teams on this grid doing jobs like yours. Mechanics, engineers, caterers. Drivers too, but only 20 of those 9,000 will ever hear their name said out loud on television. You are not one of the 20. You know this paddock better than most of the executives who fly in for the weekend. You know which driver takes his coffee black and which one doesn't drink coffee at all. None of that knowledge shows up on a stat sheet. It doesn't need to. That's not what you're paid for. Tonight, if the home team wins, there will be champagne. You will have it chilled, already uncorked at exactly the right pressure. Glasses lined up in the row, you polish twice. You will not be in the photo. That's not an oversight. That's the job. Somewhere in the garage behind you, mechanics are watching a different clock, one that decides when their night ends. Yours has no such mercy. You will never stand on that podium. But without you, no one else gets there either. Level 2. The Operational Mechanic. A different clock than hers, just as merciless. 3 hours after the second practice session ends, a rule from the FIA's own sporting regulations forces every car under cover and forces you toward the gate. You swipe your pass. The light stays red for a second longer than it should. Curfew. Not a metaphor, a real, timed lockout, enforced at a turnstile. With a shrinking number of exemptions each season, the sport allows a team to break it. That rule exists to protect you from exactly what this job used to do to people. 12-hour build days on Wednesday and Thursday. Pit stop practice Thursday afternoon. Then the weekend proper, where your hands do, in under 2.5 seconds, what takes a road mechanic 15 minutes. You started at 22. Your first paycheck in this paddock was somewhere around £42,000 a year, and according to the mechanic who wrote about it later, it felt like hitting the lottery. That was before triple headers, before 24 races a year instead of 17. Today, according to industry pay estimates, mechanics like you take home somewhere between $67,000 and $81,000 annually. Good money, by most standards. Not by this one. Not when a teammate 3 garages down, the mechanic assigned to a different driver missed his own son's first birthday because the calendar put Singapore that same week. The team documented it themselves later, in a film meant to celebrate people like you. It wasn't a celebration. Not really. It was an apology dressed as a tribute. You don't resent the curfew. You resent needing one. Because the fact that this job requires a law to stop you from destroying yourself, that's not protection. That's an admission of what the job actually costs. The gate beeps green. You're through, into the cold night air, 6 days until you do this again. The system protects you from burning out. It was never built to protect you from missing everything else. Level 3. The Junior Engineer. No swipe gate rescues you at midnight. No siren tells you to stop. Your clock is the telemetry feed, and it never asks permission to keep running. 3 monitors. Rows of numbers scrolling faster than a human eye should be able to read, and yet you read them, because that's the entire job, catching the one line that doesn't match the others. You graduated with a degree most people can't spell correctly on the first try. Aerospace, mechanical, motorsport engineering, if the university offered it. According to industry salary guides, an entry-level position like yours starts around $75,000 a year reportedly, since teams rarely publish the number themselves. Good money. Anonymous money. Nobody is filming you at 2 in the morning. There's no documentary crew here, no curfew clock counting down your exit, no rule forcing you to stop and go home. The mechanics have a law protecting their sleep. You have a deadline and deadlines don't clock out. You catch the anomaly, a half-degree temperature spike in a sensor that shouldn't exist. You flag it, log it, send it up the chain to someone whose name will eventually appear in a press release. Yours won't. That's not a complaint. It's the arrangement, the same one you signed when you took the job. The same one every engineer in this building signed before you. You just didn't expect the silence to feel this specific, this total. He knows this car better than anyone on television. No one will ever ask his name. Level 4, the race engineer. Somebody has to be the voice in the driver's ear. Tonight, that's you. The headset sits heavier than it should for something this small. You grip it anyway, knuckles pale, because the radio just cracked with a driver's frustration. Broadcast live to every screen tuned in tonight. Millions, easily. Nobody counts exactly how many, not in a number you could cite with confidence. What's certain is this: your voice, calm, deliberately flat, trained to sound unbothered, is being picked apart in real time by strangers who will never know your last name. You are the bridge between the garage and the cockpit. Every 1/10 of a second, the junior engineer flagged 3 levels below you funnels upward through you, translated into 3 words a driver can hear at 300 kilometers an hour. Box, box, confirm. Get it right, and nobody notices you at all. Get it wrong, and the internet decides, within minutes, exactly whose fault it was. One team member, speaking anonymously to a motorsport publication, described the atmosphere inside these garages as something closer to a corporate ladder than a family competitive, occasionally cruel, the kind of environment where dark humor tips over a line before anyone notices it's gone too far. Not every garage, not every day. But often enough that people who've lived it felt the need to say so out loud, even without their name attached. You don't get a version of that anonymity. Your voice is the one on the broadcast. Your calm is the product. So you keep it, measured, unreadable, even when your hands, just off camera, are anything but. One wrong word into that headset, and a season can turn. Level 5, the senior engineer. A season can turn on one wrong word. It can also turn on 3/10 of a second nobody hears at all. That's your number. 3/10 carved out of a wind tunnel model, refined across months nobody outside this building will ever see. Credited on no scoreboard anywhere. You've been doing this a decade, maybe 2. Aerodynamics or power unit design, the kind of specialty that takes a doctorate to enter and a lifetime to master. Your salary sits comfortably in 6 figures. Comfortable enough that the number itself isn't the wound is quieter than that. It's watching a driver lift a trophy built, in no small part, from a shape you drew and knowing the cameras will never once cut to you. Standing somewhere near the back of the garage, arms crossed, saying nothing. You don't say anything because there's nothing to say. This was always the arrangement. The junior engineer, 3 levels below you, flags anomalies and hopes someone senior notices. You are the someone senior. And still nobody above you says your name into a microphone either. That's the strange math of this level. You have escaped invisibility in every sense but the one that matters to the outside world. Inside the building, you are known, respected, occasionally feared. Outside it, you don't exist. His work will win races. His face will never win recognition. Level 6, the chief strategist. Recognition finally arrives at this level. It just doesn't feel like a gift. A monitor in front of you shows tire degradation curves, live timing, a rival's fuel load estimate, and you have less than 2 seconds to turn all of it into a single word relayed down the radio. Box. Or stay out. Get it right, and the driver wins a race the world will credit to his skill alone. Get it wrong, and your name, actually your name, unlike the engineer, 1 level down trends by the time the checkered flag falls. That's the trade this job makes you sign, implicitly, the day you take it. Visibility, but only one direction, only downward. Nobody clips together highlight reels of the calls that worked. Thousands of them, across a season, quietly correct. Nobody remembers those. They remember the one that didn't. A driver can make a mistake and still be called brave for trying. A strategist makes one and is called something else entirely. In comment sections that don't know his first name, but know exactly how to spell it wrong while insulting him. There is no equivalent grace extended upward from this chair. The math is asymmetric, and everyone in this role knows it before they ever sit down in it. Still, you sit down, every session, every year. Because the alternative, being 3 levels down, invisible and safe, stopped being enough a long time ago. If he's right, the driver gets the credit. If he's wrong, he gets the blame. That math never changes. Level 7, the technical director. That math never changes except, apparently, when it comes to money. You sign a concept document today. 18 months from now, it will either win championships or explain, in painful detail, why the team didn't. A doctorate got you in the room. Decades of climbing through wind tunnels, through junior design roles, through every senior engineer's job. You're now several tiers above got you this chair. And here is the number that breaks the pattern this video has built so far. Reportedly, a designer at this level of seniority can earn $30 to $40 million a year, more than most team principals. More than most people running entire companies outside this sport. Sit with that for a second. Every level below, you traded visibility for a paycheck, or a paycheck for visibility, never both. You appear to have both extraordinary pay and enough respect inside the paddock that people quietly know your name, even if television doesn't say it. But, and this is the part the number hides, you still answer to someone. The team principal signs off on your concept before it reaches a factory floor. The team principal can override your call in a strategy meeting. The team principal's name is the one attached to the team when a season goes wrong, not yours, no matter how much of the wrong turns out to be architectural. Money bought you almost everything this hierarchy has to offer. It didn't buy you the top of it. He earns more than the man who runs the team. He still answers to him. Level 8, the sporting director. Money never even entered the technical director's conversation with the people above him. Yours does, but rules speak louder here, and they speak first. 3 minutes before a steward's decision, a radio call reaches you from race control. Somewhere, a car may have been released from its pit box in a way that endangered another. It's your job to know, instantly, whether that's true, and if it is, to say so before anyone below you finds out from a penalty announcement instead. 20 or more people answer to you on a race weekend. Mechanics, tire handlers, the pit crew whose 2-second stops make headlines you'll never appear in. You don't design the car. You don't call the strategy. You keep the machine of people running inside a rulebook that changes, in some detail, almost every season: curfew hours, garage access, weight limits, penalty thresholds. Every regulation the FIA writes eventually becomes your problem to translate into instructions a tired mechanic can follow at 11 at night. Get it right, and the team runs like nothing happened. Get it wrong, a wheel not properly fitted, a car released a half-second early, and it isn't just your job on the line. It's someone's safety. That weight sits differently than a strategist's tire call. A strategist risks a race. You risk a person walking away from this job the same way they walked into it that morning, whole. You've learned to live inside that particular pressure, the kind that doesn't announce itself on a scoreboard, doesn't trend online, doesn't get analyzed by millions of strangers. It just sits in your chest during every session, quietly, until the checkered flag falls and everyone, for one evening, goes home in one piece. Every rule the FIA writes lands on his desk first, and every mistake on his record. Level 9, the team principal. Someone's safety sat in the sporting director's chest all weekend. Now it's Sunday evening, and a different weight has moved into yours. The headset comes off first. Then the cameras find your face, because after a loss like this one, your face is the story, not the 11/10ths the strategist lost in the pits, not the sensor anomaly the junior engineer flagged 3 days ago, and nobody upstream acted on. You. Specifically you. Team principals in this sport are paid well. Anywhere from roughly $800,000 a year at the smaller outfits to well over $10 million at the front of the grid, a spread wide enough that 2 people holding the exact same job title can be separated by 9 figures. Here's what the salary range doesn't tell you. None of it buys security. Cyril Abiteboul ran a team. He was removed. Simon Roberts ran a team. He was removed. Christian Horner, one of the most recognized names this sport has produced in a generation, ran a team for nearly 2 decades, publicly, successfully, and was still, eventually, removed. Not one of them was a mechanic missing curfew. Not one of them broke a regulation on the sporting director's watch. They simply stopped delivering results a board found acceptable, and the board's patience, it turns out, has no clause protecting tenure the way a curfew law protects a mechanic's sleep. You are the only person in this hierarchy whose failure is announced with your name attached, in real time, by broadcasters who have never met you. 9 tiers of engineers, strategists, and technical directors can be wrong without losing their jobs by Monday morning. You cannot. That's the arrangement nobody explains to you on the way up. The title that looks, from below, like the top of the mountain, is actually the one position in this entire building with the least protection of all. You built a system that runs without you at the pit wall. You had to. Because the moment they stop needing you specifically, someone above you will notice. And there is always someone above you. Level 10, the team owner. There is always someone above you, even here, especially here. A glass-walled suite sits above the garage, quieter than the pit wall, colder in a way that has nothing to do with air conditioning. A tablet on the table in front of you shows a share price, not a lap time. You didn't build this team's cars. You didn't call it strategy, didn't fit its tires, didn't miss a single birthday flying between circuits. Your relationship to the hierarchy below you is almost entirely financial and, according to public filings, that relationship pays extraordinarily well. One team's chief executive reportedly took home £37 million in a single year after his team won its first championship in over a quarter century, confirmed not through rumor, but through accounts filed with a national corporate registry. Total pay for that team's senior management, the same filings show, more than doubled the same year, while the workforce building the car numbered well over 1,000 people, most of whom will never be named in a press release. Another team's principal owner is estimated, across various public sources, to be worth somewhere between $1.5 and $2.5 billion of fortune built, in part, on bonuses reportedly tied to something as specific as a single podium finish. Numbers like that suggest freedom, absolute, untouchable freedom. Here is what they don't show. A board still meets. Shareholders still vote. A stock price still moves, some days, for reasons that have nothing to do with what happened on a racetrack at all. You answer to people who have never touched a wrench, never worn a headset, never stood in a garage at all, the same way the hospitality worker in Level 1 answered to people she would never meet either. The chain didn't end with you. It just became harder to see. The owner has never met the woman who polished a glass twice, hours before he arrived. He never will. She has never seen the tablet in his hand, the number on it, the board waiting for his answer. 9,000 people build 2 seats worth of glory. Only 2 names make the trophy. Everyone else goes home, packs a suitcase, and does it again next week. Mechanic, engineer, strategist, principal, owner, each one answering to a clock, a curfew, a board, a number they didn't choose. Neither of them is free. The cycle continues. Whew.